Did you know that America's first centennial birthday was celebrated in the city of Philadelphia on the grounds of what became the world's largest landscape urban park? The centennial celebration was also America's first World's Fair, which showcased parts of the Statue of Liberty and gave birth to Philadelphia's famous art museum. Hi, I'm Jose, and I'm in the city of Philadelphia visiting Fairmount Park, a park that stretches for more than 9,000 acres, filled with some of Philadelphia's most popular attractions. From America's first zoo to stunning statues, art museums, and amazing festivals, Fairmount Park is an endless outdoor environment containing a bit of everything that Philadelphia has to offer. So welcome to the city of brotherly love and a tour of Fairmount Park. The city of Philadelphia is one of America's first great cities and became a pioneer to the country's foundation, from the Declaration of Independence to being the first in so many industries, such as the first library, hospital, and zoo. Philadelphia is a city that has proudly earned the nickname the birthplace of America. And in the middle of so many innovative attractions comes one of the largest outdoor spaces found anywhere in the United States, Fairmount Park, the largest landscape urban park in the world, which is spread across more than 9,000 acres of land and broken out into an east and west division. For context, just to describe its sheer size, Fairmount Park is 5 times larger than Central Park and contains 60 parks within its borders. Parks that are managed by Philadelphia's Parks and Recreation. America's industrial age reshaped the landscape of major cities, with factories changing the environment of the cityscape, a rapid reduction of green space in favor of housing for factory workers. The 19th century witnessed cities worldwide go through an industrial evolution that brought overcrowding and pollution to the neighborhood. This change to Philadelphia's landscape contaminated the Schuylkill River to the point of becoming one of the most polluted in America. And the answer to the new changes was the creation of Fairmount Park, where Philadelphia residents take to the trails on this beautiful morning. Fairmount Park contains walking trails and areas to unleash your love of cycling and skating, with the Schuylkill River Trail passing by the Fairmount Waterworks, extending to more than 100 miles of trails throughout parts of Pennsylvania. And when you walk through East Fairmount, you'll encounter a giant monument dedicated to Abraham Lincoln. It was one of the first commissioned monuments to honor the president, standing at more than 32 feet tall, a truly iconic centerpiece to the stunning park, which has been part of the landscape for much of the park's history, dedicated in 1871 to a park that was first established in 1812. The spring season is beautiful across America, where many cities experience their changing colors and blooming flowers. Washington, D.C. is a great example of this change. The National Mall hosts thousands of visitors for its famed Cherry Blossom Festival. But this festival is not exclusive to just the Capital District. Fairmount Park established a legacy of cherry blossoms that dates back to 1926, at the 150th anniversary of America. The Japanese gifted Philadelphia 1,600 cherry blossom trees to honor the independence, a symbol of friendship in Japanese tradition. Welcome to the active Philadelphia community that gives life to Fairmount Park and a festival that attracts thousands of visitors. The deafening drums of the performers gather a large audience, myself included, to experience the heart-pounding sounds of these traditional instruments. The Subaru Cherry Blossom Festival first began in 1998, honoring the legacy of Philadelphia's relationship with the Japanese community, celebrating the Festival of Hanami, organized by the Japan-America Society of Greater Philadelphia. To continue the friendly tradition started in 1926, the Japanese America Society has planted cherry blossom trees throughout parks in the city. The flowers laid out between this path adds such beautiful colors to the changing season, with an ambience of joy filling the park air as I make my way to the gazebo. The festival brings the best in local entertainment, with dozens of vendors selling some of the most delicious cuisines found in Philly, and merchants catering to the many fans of the cosplay, manga, and anime communities. Traditions that I see all around me as I sit on the bench in the gazebo, and stunned at the crowds gathered in the park. Japanese culture has become one of the most popular in America, where you'll see kimonos, robes, and visitors shielding themselves with Japanese stylized umbrellas, further absorbing the culture of the amazing community and the wonderful Japanese society that has organized such a fascinating tradition. The World's Fair introduced the Philadelphia community to the wonders of Asia, with attractions that left lasting impressions, like the Japanese house and garden, as Japanese influence began to spread to the West.
The Shofuso Japanese House and Garden is a traditional Japanese house that reflects the history of Philadelphia's Japanese community. History that dates back to the famous 1876 exposition in Fairmount Park. Since the growth of the community, the Japanese American Society of Greater Philadelphia has planted over 1,000 cherry blossom trees within the park.
The wonders of this beautiful architecture goes back decades. Originally built in Nagoya, Japan, the house was moved to the Museum of Modern Art in New York City before making its way to Philadelphia, where visitors from the Cherry Blossom Festival wait in long lines just to get a glimpse of this stunning structure. Adding to the tranquil scenery are the koi fish, freely swimming in the garden's pond, as food drops in from visitors, captivated by their beauty. The Japanese house has been remodeled and renovated on several occasions, bringing visionary changes from renowned artists. In 2007, Hiroshi Senju, the famed artist known for his work, Waterfall, donated 20 murals that have become decor throughout the house.
I love how these places are built. I mean, I have to duck a little bit just because of my height, but I almost don't fit in here. This is a tea room. It's beautiful. And this is just to showcase how the Japanese houses are built. Somebody of my stature, I'm 6'1", so realistically I'd be bumping my head all over the place. But like I said, the architecture, construction, it's beautiful. For somebody who loves design, I'm so fascinated by Japanese culture.
Senju inspired the waterfall in the garden, adding to the attractions like the tea house, bathhouse, and courtyard. And with the beauty of changing leaves, come the visitors looking for a perfect backdrop to their photography as I walk past the flashes and shutters of phones and cameras. The Shofuso Japanese house is the only exhibit in the United States that contains a mixture of Japanese contemporary art in the background of traditional architecture. A fascinating history wrapped up in this piece of Fairmount Park, in a city that greeted more than 7,000 Japanese Americans during World War II.
Cherry blossoms are such a wonderful addition to Fairmount Park. In Japanese culture, cherry blossom signifies beauty and mortality.
From one end of the park to another, we follow the trails to the sculpture gallery, where Ellen Phillips Samuel left behind much of her estate to the Art Association of Philadelphia, creating these public sculptures that showcase the history of America, honoring the natives that came before while displaying the forefathers who birthed the nation. Ellen Phillips Samuel was an active member of the Fairmount Park's Art Association, leaving behind a donation that was considered the largest of its kind. Located along the Schuylkill River, Ellen's philanthropy work was that of giving back to the community in the form of art. When studying the history of America, Fairmount Park is responsible for developing one of the most famous attractions. Zoos can be found all over the country, but the Philadelphia Zoo has a special place in the history books. With its iconic gates and entry point, visitors bring smiles and laughter as they enter this piece of Philadelphia's story that dates back to 1874.
America's first zoo opened its gates in 1874. Inspired by the London Zoo, a surveyor selected the ground at Fairmount to establish this attraction across the states.
Prepare to bring your little ones on a fun-filled adventure to one of Philadelphia's most popular attractions, a zoo that's fun for the whole family, with a stunning fountain right at the zoo entrance, made in the artistic form of impalas. So my curiosity naturally leads me to the fountain, where I see past the clear waters at the pennies thrown by wishful thinkers, and the reflection of the sun ricocheting off the water. The Philadelphia Zoo is celebrating Thomas Dambo's Trolls, giant exhibits that are scattered throughout the park with a metaphor of saving the humans and taking better care of nature. The Philadelphia Zoo was the first zoo in the world to build an on-site animal care center and develop the first specialty foods for zoo animals. Spacious habitats have been constructed for the more than 1,700 rare and endangered animals, like the cheetahs and tigers, freely roaming the Big Cat Falls. The Amur tiger, formerly Siberian tigers, are endangered animals classified as the largest living cat in the world. So this beauty shows off to the visitors looking through the glass. The Philadelphia Zoo has been an industry leader when it comes to showcasing, educating, and taking care of animals. When the zoo first opened its gates in 1874, more than 3,000 visitors attended the attraction, where even President Ulysses S. Grant took a walk through the zoo. And within 2 years of its debut, the zoo had hosted close to 700,000 visitors. Visitors who witnessed the playful bald eagles, animals who always bring joy and a smile to my face. The zoo offers plenty of other attractions, like a ride on a mini SEPTA train, decorated in all the friendly faces we get to encounter throughout the habitats. Like the section containing primates who swing around full of energy. This western lowland gorilla is one of the most critically endangered mammals in the zoo. And within the low-lit rooms, we encountered the reptile enclosures, creatures who are a bit more calmer than their mammalian neighbors, but have some of the toughest exteriors in the animal kingdom. And in the case of this tiny alligator, it can grow to have a bite force of 2,000 pounds per square inch. As we walk around the zoo, we'll encounter one of the many beautiful statues on display. This 900-pound gorilla is made of recycled car hoods, an exhibit titled Junk Rethunk. And crossing to other areas, I just hear the excitement and astonishment of children finding their favorite animals. We encounter some of the biggest and oldest reptiles in the zoo, the Galapagos tortoise, with some tortoise being a century old, making them some of the oldest residents in the zoo. Here is a familiar animal, similar to the ones in the forests of Pennsylvania, the Andean bear, gentle creatures found in the mountains of South America. But a shade of pink blends with the greenery as visitors marvel at this majestic beauty, the Caribbean flamingo. These are the brightest and largest of the flamingo species, and possibly one of the most ancient, with origins that date back millions of years. An amazing animal to close out our adventure in the zoo.
After America's Civil War, the country ushered in periods like the Reconstructive Era and the Gilded Age. A World Fair became a common meeting point for nations to show off their traditions and forward-thinking ideas of the future. From the classic World Columbia Exposition in Chicago to the Panama Pacific International Fair in San Francisco, and also the famous New York's World Fair, America was one of the largest to host some of these international events, celebrating several fairs throughout the country's history since the 19th century, with France being a close second to the number of fairs hosted. Philadelphia celebrated their festivals on the grounds of Fairmount Park, in a place that still maintains that grandiose architecture, but has been repurposed into so many different things for the city. In its current incarnation, the Centennial Building has become a children's museum.
As we arrive to the Centennial District, we're greeted by the towering Smith Memorial Arch, a grand entrance to the grounds where America celebrated its first 100 years. This memorial is dedicated to the heroes of Pennsylvania's Navy and military who fought in the Civil War. Richard Smith, one of Philadelphia's most wealthy residents, donated $500,000 to construct this beautiful memorial. I entered the memorial for closer observation, simply fascinated by the wonderfully constructed details of this monument, containing a neo-Baroque design which surrounds itself with several statues and busts, including one of the donor, Richard Smith. The monument stands in West Fairmount, which was land expanded to the original Fairmount Park to accommodate the centennial celebration that would take place in Philadelphia. More than 10 million visitors attended this great exhibition, with representation from at least 37 countries, commemorating the signing of the Declaration of Independence at Independence Hall. As we walk to the Centennial Building, the beauty of spring flowers covers the park. With a grand plaza at its entrance, Memorial Hall is the only structure that remained from the centennial celebration, where crowds gather to visit the museum and are welcomed by towering statues. This architectural achievement cost an estimated $1.5 million to construct, in the form of the Beaux Arts style, a popular 19th century selection inviting the countries of the world to this highly decorative and magnificent meeting point, but also an impressive representation of how much America had progressed since the signing of the Declaration. So let's step inside to get a further look at this stunning museum. This is the astonishing Memorial Hall, an elegant display to evoke a sense of history and tradition, showcasing the awe-inspiring growth that America had demonstrated in its short lifetime. The building was designed by Herman Schwartzman, who also worked on the landscape to the Philadelphia Zoo. Schwartzman took inspiration from classical Beaux Arts style architecture, like the Paris Opera House and the New York Public Library, a style filled with grandiosity, symmetry, and the use of classical elements such as columns, pediments, and domes. Within this stunning interior is a central rotunda that was designed to house large exhibitions and events. The arm that clutched the torch became one of the most famous attractions within the fairgrounds. As I walk inside the main hallway, I'm lured by the fascinating replica of the Statue of Liberty's torch. It was first unveiled to the public at the Centennial Celebration, which later became a part of the larger Statue of Liberty. At the lower level of the museum is a Centennial Room, an exhibit that contains the history of the events. The Centennial Exposition of 1876 was the first World's Fair held in America, displaying the United States' industrial achievements. Innovations like Alexander Graham Bell's telephone, Thomas Edison's telegram, and the first renditions of the typewriter dazzled Centennial visitors. In the middle of the room is a giant diorama of the event, where we can see miniature replicas of buildings like Memorial Hall, the Machinery Building, and the Main Hall. It was the largest building in the world at its time. The beauty of Memorial Hall remains intact as America reaches its 250th anniversary.
This building is a perfect reflection of change. Visitors will bring their kids to spend the afternoon without noticing all the amazing history and details engraved throughout the walls.
Let's get on board the monorail and experience this amazing children's museum. The Please Touch Museum is a riveting journey through some of your favorite childhood moments brought to life in the most creative way. And cultures from around the world are in rotation throughout the museum. Like the Namaste Showcase, one of the many who graces this wing and takes you to some of the wonders of India, down to the minute details from spices and clothing to Bollywood superstars, where I feel like this might be the closest I get to the Bollywood red carpet.
If I was still a kid, I would love this museum. There's so many things to discover, learn, and explore.
And with a recent resurgence in popularity, this icon is the perfect toy to conduct all three: discovering Barbie's origins, learning about her evolution, and exploring the symbolism and cultural influence the character has had on generations of little girls. Barbie has been a symbol of empowerment and independence, achieving anything she can imagine. On the lower level, little feet are heard pushing shopping carts and getting a pint-sized experience of what it feels like to be a shopper. The Please Touch Museum first opened during America's bicentennial celebration in 1976 and was the first museum in the world dedicated to serving children between the ages of 1 through 7 years old. We enter the world of Alice in Wonderland, a beloved childhood story that goes through the journey of self-discovery and the challenges of growing up, with themes that cover a passage of time and the importance of embracing your true self. As I walk through the Queen's Maze, I'm suddenly looking at the many reflections of my childhood and the fun I used to have visiting the House of Mirrors. The mirrors in the story of Alice in Wonderland serve as a motif for identity, perception, and the nature of reality, where we grow up to become serious adults and forget how to have fun. The Please Touch Museum started with the premise of creating a place where children could explore the world through self-directed curiosity and learning through play. And that simple model has grown into one of Fairmount Park's most popular attractions, receiving close to 500,000 visitors annually, with children enjoying the toys and the historic carousel, a vintage piece from the former Woodside Amusement Park in West Fairmount, which continues to bring joy to the many children who visit this fantastic museum. The Catholic Total Abstinence Fountain was one of the beautiful monuments dedicated during the centennial celebration, symbolizing the power of religion, virtues of temperance, and the Irish Catholic love of patriotism and liberty. The starting point to Fairmount Park is considered the hill, where the Philadelphia Art Museum is currently located. Fairmount Park was originally designed to protect the waters of the Schuylkill River, and this area is a site of Fairmount Waterworks, where the Fairmount Dam regulates the flow of the river. Boathouse Row is a destination for enthusiasts, which has become world famous, as we witness several rowers take to the river. Before the lands of Fairmount Park existed, it was home to the Lenape Native Americans until America's demographics shifted. The area grew to become farmland for the early European settlers. When industrialization boomed in Philadelphia, it created new challenges for the city's water system, propelling city officials to fine anyone polluting the river. As I walk towards the art museum, I'm spellbound by the amazing history contained in the confines of Philadelphia's first park. And like a king on his throne, the Philadelphia Museum of Art sits atop the head of the park. The Art Museum is another product that was originally charted at the 1876 Centennial Celebration and has grown to become one of the most visited museums in the United States. As we walk up the steps into the Art Museum, the mellow environment creates the calm to our journey. The Philadelphia Museum of Art is an institution that contains more than 240,000 pieces of art. Beautiful pieces that span all cultures and eras, including traditional European art, like the Crucified Christ, a Flemish sculpture that dates back to the 1400s. The Christian religion has been a major influence to European art styles. Walking through these exhibits ignites my creative thinking, as the minor details within every room reflects my journey of the art found in Fairmount Park. From the Please Touch Museum to the zoo, Japanese festival, and trails along the river, the pieces are a delicate puzzle to a larger painting. So admiring all these wonderful artworks becomes much more special after this stupendous journey. And we enter one of the most beautiful wings within the museum, dedicated to the art of Asia. Visitors gather at the Pillared Temple, amazed at this display that dates back to 1560, resembling a South Indian temple hall. As we journey to the next room, Terra, goddess of compassion, awaits upon entry. It's considered the largest Dollar statue found in any American museum. And the conclusion to our adventure takes us back to Eastern Asia, to the familiar temple designs found at the grounds of the park. A park that has truly earned its recognition and status of being one of the greatest parks in America.
This is truly an amazing museum. You could get lost and spend hours here. Thank you for joining me in exploring Fairmount Park in the city of brotherly love. I'm Jose, and if you like what you've seen today, please give it a like and share. If you want to see more in the city of Philadelphia, please subscribe and stay tuned for the following video. Until next time.